right. So usually I started with who are you and what do you do?
My name's Daniel Gayner and I'm lead brewer at Hunter Beer Co.
What's your favourite beer style?
Style's a hard one. I love to work in sort of session strength, so probably anything that comes in those sort of lower alcohol, so that English bitters and things like that are always quite both fun to brew and fun to drink. But yeah.
Do you think that's for a couple of reasons? Because it's very popular out here with all the mines and the rest of it, and also because you've got to drive home, right?
That's always been one of my things. I like the idea of being able to have a couple of beers, to being able to, instead of having your 1, 8 or 9% double or triple IPA, and then that's your night, that's your done. You're not going anywhere. Whereas if you're having a 3.5% little bitter or a sort of 4% wheat beer or something like that, you can have a couple of beers and still get behind the wheel in a reasonable amount of time.
What's your favourite type of malt?
I'm a big fan of Marisota. So that sort of Englishy sort of nutty character you get from those sort of traditional English base malts. If you were to talk to Keith, our head brewer, he'd definitely say dark Bohemian Pilsner malt, and he buys that by the pallet, and we're the only one in the country who basically uses it, so they buy it in just for us.
Wow.
It's a pretty specialty malt, and it's pretty fun to work with as well. Lots of character in a pretty unique floor malted dark Pilsner.
What's your favourite hop?
Simcoe. I think Simcoe. I've always been a huge fan of Simcoe, and even as new sort of varieties come onto the market, and it's always fun to play with the next hop, the next variety, using some of the new Australian varieties or things like that. I still always go back to Simcoe, and every time opening that bag, getting that big whiff of that fresh bag of good Simcoe is that's what it's all about.
What's your favourite brewery other than your own brewery?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll probably have to pick someone in the local area, otherwise they're going to see it and they're going to be really disappointed. I'm a big fan of Foghorn, Sean Sherlock. I think he makes some really great beers, and what he's doing at Foghorn is really great. But I'm a big fan of the Hunter Valley Brewers. So Maddie up at Hope Estate, they're doing some good things, and they've always got something new, and their qualities are up there. And Sydney Brewery, which, although they're called Sydney Brewery, have a brewery in the Hunter Valley. And they do some really good sessionable stuff. Their lagers and stuff are really great. So,
what's your favourite yeast? Obviously, no pressure.
No. Well, interestingly enough, at the brewery we use a lot of liquid wire yeast, and so I play around with that a lot at work. But I still brew a lot at home because I like to torture myself. I like to brew 4 or 5 days a week and then go home and brew another 2 days a week. Recently I've been playing a lot with New England IPAs. I've been using the Lulleman New England IPA yeast. So I've been really getting into that and using that a lot lately.
That's got a lot of biotransformation happening. So have you tried dry hopping it and that?
Yeah. Because we've done a few New England IPAs at work, and we've just used some sort of standard yeast strains that we normally use in. Nothing that you would normally use for a New England IPA, mostly because we don't make a lot of New England IPAs. But something I like to play with a bit.
Garbage truck gonna go?
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, use it.
So you've tried to
and great results. Yeah, you get a lot of that juicy, fruity sort of thing going on. Nice, awesome. Nice haze. Yeah, I really dig it, and I hope to bring it into the brewery as long as I can get Keith buying on some more hazy IPAs.
Cool. And how do you find brewing education and its availability in Australia?
It's gotten a lot better. When I first started, so I've been doing this professionally for sort of almost 5 years now, and even that is not a long time, but the stuff that was out there was was a little bit more restricted to where you could go. You still had the Ballarat course that was there, and some WA courses were available through TAFE, but your pickings were limited. But the TAFE course in Sydney and the plans to roll it out is great for the industry. More breweries.
What do you think the biggest need in the industry is right now?
Probably, I'd have to say it's a consumer level thing. The awareness is there, and it's getting more as it goes on. And bigger breweries, small craft breweries, are becoming bigger, and more craft beer can get out there. But we're still only a really small percentage of beer sold in Australia, and it's a shrinking category. So the amount of beers that are being sold are less on what it used to be. So being able to get that beer in somebody's hand and having that ability for them to understand that it's not the same as the beers they've been buying from big breweries for years and years. And we're getting there. We're in wine country. Our market has, in the past, generally been people who walk through the door and, I drink beer, what do you got? Okay, what sort of beer? Beer. Okay, here's a Kölsch. What's a Kölsch? Is it a lager? No, it's not a lager. And now we sell more pale ale than we sell Kölsch and lager now. People are getting more aware, but I think just that more and more of that is needed as more and more breweries jump on. We need to build the pie, as people say, rather than fight for the consumers that are currently drinking craft or independent, I guess is the.
I remember one I always loved when I was working behind the tasting bar was someone came back and said, "Oh, look, this beer is just too beery." What are you meant to say to that?
Well, you get some interesting people, and that's one of the things that's a bit fun about working at Hunter Beer Co. We have the brewers behind the bar, and so we get that direct feedback.
So I think it's hugely important.
Oh, it is. We can change our things. We can get that feedback. We know what our customers want, and even if we're making something that's a little bit different, that's not a up and down style or something, the brewer's there to explain it.
What's your worst brewing infection, and what did you do to fix it?
What we did is we turned the lights down low, we played some sad music, and we put that beer straight down the drain. And we pulled everything apart, and we deep cleaned it as well as we could, and we scrubbed every inch of the brewery, and we started again. Not just infections, but things that if something goes wrong on a brew day, it's really hard to make. You can put you throw as many hops into it as you want, but you're never going to make that beer a great beer again once something's gone wrong. It's a lot of the time something's happened. It's and your best bet is to just start again and make the changes at the base rather than trying to run around at the end of the day chasing your tail and trying to cover things up. So yeah. Just watching that beer go down the drain, take that in that you can do something better and move on, basically.
What's your worst brewing mistake?
I think possibly the biggest mistake I've had was transferring a beer into a tank with a tap open. And so it didn't quite reach, so it didn't, because the tap was halfway up the tank, you didn't realise that the tap was open until the beer actually reached that point. And luckily enough, our brewery's small enough that from pretty much any angle you can see most of what's going on. So it didn't end up being too bad, but we did end up losing a little bit of that batch as that beer started coming out the tap when it reached that point on transfer.
What do you think everyone's doing right or wrong in the industry?
I don't know if it's necessarily a brewer-led thing or it's a consumer-led thing, but the hype train, the new is always better sort of thing, the next beer is always the one that you should be trying. We get a lot of customers come through the door who have been here before and they won't drink our pale, they won't drink our Kölsch, they won't drink our Bock because I've had that before. We've been brewing for 16 years, and if you don't think our beer is getting better year on year, every year for 16 years, And if your beer isn't getting better every year for 16 years, what are you doing? And people, I think there's a bit of a mistake that that you've tried it once and you've had it. I think something you lose a little bit in that constant recycling, constant new beers. You lose that ability to perfect something, to change it, to make it as best as you can. And things are always different. New ingredients are coming onto the market, new techniques are available, and I don't know whether it's necessarily it's what the consumer wants, so we have to do it, or if it's we want to do that, and consumers are doing it, but like reading into it. But there is a little bit, that's a sad thing for those who don't want to come back and retry some of the beers, which either have always been great and you just don't ever have that beer again. You've ticked it off your box and that's it, or you've had it. It was good, but I've had it, and it's like, well, it should be getting better. It should be better. If I've been there for 5 years, my technique, my experience is better than it was 5 years ago. And so the beer should be better than it was 5 years ago. And I think people miss out a little bit on that.
So going back to consumer education, how do you educate the consumer on that exact point?
It's a tough one. Again, that face-to-face, getting to explain that to people, explaining I think part of it is you just have to get them to trust you. And we have that luxury that it is the brewer standing behind the bar, and I think people get a little bit more trustworthy of us behind the bar, because I can go, I made that beer, I can tell you what the beer is tasting like, I can tell you it's better than it was last year, I can tell you what we're aiming for.
So what do you think the next big trend is going to be?
It's pretty hard to say it's anything other than a new variety of IPA. If I'm putting money on something, it's going to be something with hops, and whether it's going to be a IPA, as anyone knows it, an IPA, but you're going to use the word IPA because you know that sells. No, I think we're going to see a little bit of and I think we're already starting to see a little bit of a move back towards some sessionable beers, some lagers and things like that. I don't know that it's ever going to get to a hypey sort of level. But I think that's okay. I think that as long as we can build up those people that want to drink that sort of style, I think that'll be good for the industry.
So with all the, like, obviously driving yesterday, Will and I noticed at 5-6 o'clock, insane amount of traffic because of minor shift change.
Yeah. Given that they have to be zero at work,
and there's big penalties and stuff, they lose their job. What do you think? What are the styles you see them being into? Obviously, it's going to be mid-strength, so we lower alcohols.
Yeah.
But do they want more hoppy? Do they want less hoppy? Or
we've been playing around with a little beer that we've now called Hunter Mid. It was originally called Providence because we're using Providence malt. But we found that a lot of the consumer, especially the mining consumers, the people in our area, they're not generally craft beer drinkers. They're getting around to it. They're willing to try some more things, but if they want that mid-strength beer, they want it to be fairly sessionable. And so we sort of took the angle of using all Australian ingredients and twisting that to make an English bitter.
Cool. Well, that's all the questions I got. Awesome. Well, we're going to get some beers and go fishing. So thanks for the chat.